So I'm going to do something incredibly complicated right now, and I may get lost along the way and some important parts get missed. I'm going to share my spiritual journey, which commenced around about 2020, it really took off. In 2017, separated from my daughter, I had a tarot reading, and that's when my life just transformed. Now, I've discussed a lot of this on my TikTok channel, and this video is going to exceed TikTok's duration limit. I know that. So if anyone is watching it on another platform, I would suggest watching it on YouTube in its full glory, really, if it turns into glory. There's something, I can't help it. Something that's going to have to get missed because it's going to be really hard to document so long. When you're on a short journey at the beginning stages, it's incredibly easy to recite what's happened. As you go further and deeper, you'll remember significant parts, but the little nuances might get missed, and that's irritating for me. I have documented a lot, because I've got it in my Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul book, but I'm also writing another one now, and a lot has happened since that book. I recently revised it, made a second edition in December, I think it was. And again, that was just to fine tune it really and just bring it more up to date, but there's still a lot to cover. So in 2017, my daughter was taken away by her mother. We went through an arduous journey through family court. It was traumatizing for both me and my daughter. At the very beginning, within days of her of being taken away, I was an absolute mess. I was distraught. Nothing like I am now. I was at my lowest, literally heartbroken. So my mum arranged a tarot reading with a psychic she knew. I never met this lady before. Even right up to the reading, I was like, I don't really want to do this, but she'd already paid. And within moments of talking to this lady who just pulled cards and started talking about life, I came so close to tears because everything was about my daughter. She had everything to a T. My mum told me that she absolutely hasn't told her anything. I trust my mother. And the way she was reading it, it felt natural. So, and I've had readings from people since. I've had things happen since. So, I have no reason to believe if she was lying because so much has come true anyway. So she said my daughter would be in hospital. She'd never been in hospital. Within a month or two, she was in hospital, having surgery on her thumb due to an incident in her mother's care. So that came true. She talked about you'll see her soon. It's a lot of warning really about what was going to happen due to the animosity, and there will be a battle through court. It will be arduous. It was important that I stand my ground. I do not just bow down to every little thing I'm offered. They will paint me in a negative light. There's a lot of manipulation. So effectively, what she said, it's sort of certain words that just stayed with me. There's so much going around you that you have no control. And that stays with me to this day. That really helps because it makes you realize that some things are outside of our control. We can do the best we can, but we can only do so much. There was other things prophesized. Someone will come back into my life. The name began with a J. She was saying Jenny, but then she said other names, but Jenny stayed in my mind. I knew no one even beginning with the letter J. Later on, a few days later, I bumped into her again at the shop, and out of everything she said to me, that's the one thing that stayed in with her. She would not relent on it. Someone was going to come back, and it began with a J. Now, I've met someone since who begins with J, and we've had a moment of separation. And even recently, I've done tarot cards, and even though I've given up hope, the tarot cards still point towards marriage, which kind of aligns with what she said. There was also a medium I bumped into years later, and she also said something about getting married and having a baby boy, potentially. But to keep on track, because if I derail too far, we're going to be all over the place. So it was through this tarot reader, I'm sort of like getting the first foresight really into the future, really. She said it will all work out. It will all go fine. As long as you don't keep your mouth shut. That was her biggest thing. Don't react because they'll paint you what they want to paint you then. So that helped me through family court, and I'm pretty sure that was guided. I'm pretty sure that was needed on that path. Now, someone later who I collaborated on something with, she channeled and she did tarot cards herself, and she said that spirit literally split you two apart because you wouldn't leave. You was torn between like being a parent and prioritizing yourself. And because my daughter's my world, I wouldn't leave, even though that really was what was needed, because it was pushing me so far off my path. So spirit split us apart. And again, things have happened since. So my perspective on trauma and challenges is a bit different to most. It's like, yes, it's unfair, and even I get fed up in situations, but now I have a broader understanding of why things happen. Again, even just like a few months ago in November 2023, I asked about my daughter's situation, and I just can't understand why she's still not home. It's been 6 years later, and I was told, you have your journey and she has hers. We still need more from you. So effectively, things happen how they're supposed to, and we all have our own journey, our own path. And even though we can't see it in the moment, especially in the moment of tragedy, there's a bigger reason for it. If them events hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been pushed on the alignment that I am now. I wouldn't have so much spiritual knowledge that I've gained and I've experienced. I've also been on a hell of a healing journey. But not only that, I've documented it. So I've wrote 5 books at this point. I'm doing more, done an audio book. I'm now doing these videos trying to help people. Had I stayed in that relationship, my daughter, okay, she wouldn't have a broken home, but she wouldn't have been in a happy home. I think that's worth mentioning. And I wouldn't have gone on to do these things. She's now becoming more independent because of it as well and speaking up for herself. Had this not happened, perhaps I'll still be speaking up for her, and she wouldn't be that force that she needs to be in her own life, So I think everything happens how it's supposed to. But again, in the middle of trauma, in the middle of chaos, it's not fair. And none of it makes sense. It only makes sense later. So when you look back, you go, oh, and that helps. The reason it helps is because when you've experienced enough of these things, the pattern becomes clear and obvious. So when you're going through something similar later, it's like, okay, this hurts. This is a ridiculous suffering. I think I've learned my lesson, but there's a reason for it and it doesn't last forever. So kind of like just ride the wave rather than keep fighting against it. And again, later on, I went back to court again, and I actually walked away that time because I'd learned the lesson myself that if no one's listening, there's no point me wasting my time and energy. We're just going round a merry-go-round here. And it was at that moment that I started focusing on myself and I started elevating because I just decided if I can't have my daughter then, I'll build a life for her for the future. And that's kind of like where it went. And then you start to sort of embrace yourself as well, because it's important that we do things for us and we acknowledge that. It's not always like we're building something for someone else. We're building it for us too, So we shouldn't be hiding behind that. We are doing it for us too. And that's really important that we acknowledge that part. So, like I say, the battle through family court was traumatic. I then had another reading, weirdly enough, because my mum wanted a mediumship reading. She wanted to connect to her mother, really, and ones that have passed. My stepdad had died of cancer. I think she didn't say that too much to me, but it seems to be other people knew certain things, but she wasn't saying it to me, so I didn't know the depth of her despair, really. So we've turned up to this reading, which was completely different to the previous one. The one I had, she had her tarot cards. It was a bit more natural for me. I just sat across the table. This guy had incense burning. It was a bit different to her, the way he behaved. But he was a medium and she wasn't a medium, I don't think. Well, if she is, she wasn't channeling mediumship. She was doing the tarot. So there's different aspects to this. So she was channeling through, and my stepdad came through, and my grandmother. Both of them are very like alpha, So I always wondered how that's going to play out, because when 2 alphas come together, what happens? So he dominated the beginning part, and he said about me getting married, even though this is my mum's reading. He come through, mentioned that he's doing everything he can, like regarding my daughter. He did say some nice things. I can't remember what he said about me now. I've written a book. So much happens in my life. He did say my daughter's his princess, and he did say he's proud of me. He also said I'll be married. Later on, I thought he was joking because I was so far removed from any notion of it. I was in a despair. But he said you'll get married. And later on, another medium said he wasn't joking. He wasn't mocking you. He was literally telling you you're going to be married one day. I'm getting goosebumps now. Again, this is confirmations I get a lot. So she said, so that's what I learned there. Then part that really baffled me here is I was like on my knees nearly. I'm just supporting my mum. You know, I'm still fighting through family court. It's an absolute nightmare. And her mum came through and said to my mum, you can put all the weight, you can put everything on this one. So the medium said specifically you. She's talk about you, like me. You can put everything on this one. He has very strong shoulders. He has, you can anything. So if you ever feel down and you need someone, he can handle it. And I thought, bloody hell, man, I'm nearly on my knees now. You can weight of everybody else. What are we talking about? Obviously, later on, you start to realize how strong you are. So it made sense. That was a nice little confirmation. It showed me that I'm a bit special. I have something about me that doesn't let me lose. So I have resilience. So that was really the main part there. So that was all around about 2017 to maybe 2019, in those 2 years. 2020, because I've had them tarot readings, I've documented them in my book. So I wrote A Father's Daughter, which is about the trauma through family court. Then I did A Heartbroken Daughter. And it was towards the end of writing A Heartbroken Daughter, I've sort of got a bit more curious about spirituality, because I was still I wasn't so sure back then, but I've got a medium telling me one thing. I've got tarot readings saying another thing. I met another medium, and she's the one that told me about the marriage thing and some other parts. And we had a few things happen. It was a bit crazy, to be honest, where a computer just reset all the way to, I was on Twitter at the time, X, but Twitter. And we was talking about certain things, and her screen, it never done this before, but it rewound through the messages all the way to a very specific point. And if anyone knows anything about Twitter or any of these social media apps, you try scrolling, it'll constantly pause to refresh, and you'll have to it'll take absolutely ages to get to a point of reference, and it just scrolled straight to it. Another time the monitor just came on and she was like freaking out a little bit. And bear in mind, she's a medium. Even she said, I've experienced a lot, but this is like shocked, like alarmed her. So that was quite cool. That, and my stepdad's personality came through in that. So again, it was all these instances that started to awaken me. Now, upon reflection, when I was going, before I saw all this, I kept seeing 11:11 on the clock for most of my life. I used to think, oh, that's lucky. I just thought it's like a wish thing. A wish, 11:11. What a weird combination. It's so obvious. So again, you add all this up. The horoscopes often matches. And again, I'd always say this. I said this in my book. I think astrology is God. I can't remember exactly how I said it, but astrology is God's way to show you. I can't remember now. But anyway, it's his sort of roadmap to spiritual journey, really, to back to your soul. It's otherwise, like, people can say I'm not spiritual, but then they still read their zodiacs, or they say I'm an Aquarius or I'm a Pisces or whatever they want to say they are. Well, why would you label yourself anything if you don't believe in it? So there's a semblance of truth within it. There's a semblance that people do believe, but they're terrified of pushing themselves into it and delving in. Because it's that issue with religion, isn't it? I can see that as well. Again, I was skeptical myself until I started seeing the signs, and I'm getting all these things happening. It's one after another. So imagine the absolute surprise when I'm reading my horoscope for February 2020. I think it's towards the end of February. And it said, you are delving deeper into spirituality. You're curious. You're very curious, and you want to learn more. Someone will come and help you, support you through this. Within a day or two, someone came to me. They just read my book, A Father's Daughter. I hadn't posted anywhere that I'm interested in spirituality or I'm curious. Boom, she overloaded me with loads of information on the spirituality through a direct message. She pointed me towards Matt Kahn. So he was really my biggest, at the very beginning of my journey, was like the one that opened my eyes. It was because it was so much clarity to it. Unless you're ready to hear something, and unless you're in sync with the information that's coming to you, it doesn't make sense. But certain parts will, depending on where you are. So even if you're at an early part of your journey, certain parts will click, the rest won't make sense. There'll be no logic to it. The higher your vibration, the more resonance it gets. So he was like, whoa, this is new to me. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this makes so much sense to me. So we move on from Matt Kahn, and I'm sort of like carrying on with my year. And then I'm like, I really want to move from my flat which is a social housing. I want a house. I just want a house. I'm fed up living like this. I just want a house more than anything. And I thought, even if like maybe you're thinking in my lifetime, maybe at some point, out of nowhere, within less than a week. I mean, less than a week of me saying that out loud and desiring it. Someone liked my home on a home swapping app for social housing tenants. They live further away from me. They had a house, I had a flat, and they wanted to swap because they wanted to be in my hometown. In the end, we swapped. That was in July of 2020. We did the swap in October 2020, and even then there were delays between that process because she was really persistent and it was pushing everything away. And it was only on the very last day when I actually told her to stop put pressure in now, because we've been told if it's not done today, it's getting cancelled. And I said, I'm just going to have faith that it all works out. Whatever's meant to be, will be. And I had to tone her down. And it was literally in the final hour, I got a phone call to say it had passed. We approved. So when you talk about manifestation, people say some people are more powerful manifestors. That was a powerful manifestation. I mean, that's a powerful manifestation. I'm in a flat. Who in their right mind swaps a flat for a house? It's very rare, surely. Yeah. Once you're in a flat, it's very hard to get out of one, to be honest, unless you're buying one. I had no finances to do that. That was impossible. So I got my dream. I also asked that when I get there, when I get a house, when I swap, I would like, I need a job. I really need something. Where I was living before, there weren't really any jobs around there. Within the month of moving, I was working somewhere and I was like getting up to speed. It was going well. There was also a lot of signs around that time. So before I got the house, as we were still waiting, I had signs through TikTok that there'd be angel feathers. I thought, what's this mean? So I went outside and there was feathers, or white feathers around near the doors. And then when I went to a field I like to walk, bear in mind I normally go to this field, so there's nothing out of the ordinary normally. There was feathers all along the paths, not like heavy, but they were like scattered around, So as you walk, you go, oh bloody hell, there's another feather there, there's another feather there, another feather there. And you're going, this is crazy. It was going on for ages. And I've had another situation like that with my daughter, and so we both experienced it together, which was quite beautiful. But I now know if you get a sign of that, it means something's coming. I'm getting goosebumps now. So like all these are confirmations, by the way. If you get goosebumps and chills at a given moment when you're thinking or talking about something, that's a confirmation. Yeah, it's quite intense. So I got all that, and then obviously the swap happened. And then I commented on a TikTok video, and the reader on the TikTok video said, "You're divine." I said, "What does that mean then? What does divine mean?" She goes, "I don't know. I just heard divine when I saw your comment." Even she was like, "Whoa, I've got to look it up." And she's just getting that about me. Then in that October, I think it's still October, November. I think it was October. So October 2020, I got signs that I'll have a career in spirituality or religion. You will feel out of your depth, so you'll feel a novice, but your angels will support you and you'll do great. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be a priest? I'm not even religious. Like, bear in mind, I'm only just starting my spiritual journey and I'm hearing this. I'm like, what career path is there? I was like, this is beyond me. I don't understand. I'm following the trail. I'm really pulling in on this, but that's confusing me. And then it said someone will come and collaborate with you and you'll be a power couple. So imagine my surprise when I meet someone on TikTok and YouTube. So they're on both. And I was like mesmerized by their content. And then they approached me out of nowhere. They're the ones that approached me, not me the other way around. I was already mesmerized by them. So we collaborated on the first version of this, Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul. We wrote that in 3 months. We started talking about it in January. So we started writing in February. We was done by like April, May. The whole book. This entire book, most of my books are done in 3 months anyway. But this was like, for a book on something I'm just learning about. And I'm like channeling. Just everything's happening fast. This book is insane. And she was incredible mentor with me, but there's things that happened after in terms of like we just split in our own direction. Really, I think ego's just got in the way. I don't want to dwell too much because I don't want to sort of like throw shade on people, But so that happened, and then a friend of theirs I got in contact. I started talking to, and we hit it off straight away. Like it was crazy. Like I was like, "Who is this person who's commented?" And she said, "Oh, that's so and so." And I was like, "Oh, that's the one, is it? Okay." So I messaged back, and we was hitting it off, and we was talking, and then it ended up we was talking more than I was talking to the other one. The other one was being a bit standoffish anyway, in terms of like projecting things after we'd finished it. And a romantic connection was building now. But we're in different countries. It's almost impossible, There's always something. They were going through a healing period, a transformation. Um, and I was obviously on my journey. I'm pursuing my new goals and gifts. But what I miss out in amongst all that is I'm also getting all these wonderfully gifted people on TikTok, these tarot readers and psychics, and they're approaching me out of nowhere. I'm following them, and they're giving me readings for free. Most people are paying, and they're having to like line up and ask for readings and book them. And I'm getting people just approach me and say, "I don't normally do this, but I've been called. I feel a compulsion to say, give you this reading," or I post something myself, and people will comment and they're supportive. So that was really crazy. So I'm thinking, this is weird. I'm getting all these things happening when I ask for them to happen. Everything's just gravitating to me like crazy. And again, on my spiritual journey, that's how it's been. Most people have to go in the hard path, like a very unguided path, whereas I seem to get people just coming to me left, right, and center. So it's almost like I'm being ascended quickly. Again, I've been confirmed at some point later that is what's happening. So I've been going on my own journey ever since, really. So we did the book. And then there's other things I've asked for. I say I want a car, and then boom, I'm getting the car I asked for. My favorite car I now have, and that was impossible. There's times when I've left a job, and I've left a job to write books. I'm like, the book's more important. I'm leaving this. It's leaving me in a situation, but whatever. And as soon as I need a job, and I'm like, I need to change I need to do better than I'm doing. A better opportunity will come up. So where most people are terrified of leaving jobs and they don't know what's going to happen, I always bounce back into something better, and it just seems to keep happening. Now, at this point, I've been out of work for a while now, since September 2023. And now in February 2024, and even I'm getting a bit anxious because I'm getting prophecy here. I'm getting a lot of signs that you're going to get a great opportunity. This is what I know of my future. There's going to be an opportunity come. The indication was between around February, March 2024. We're in that period now. We're approaching it now. I'm getting heavy signs of it still to this day. I even did cards the other day, which I put on TikTok, and it showed sudden wealth and people talking about you that you're not aware of. They're going to invest in you and give you an opportunity, and that's going to change your life pretty much. I've also had channeling sessions with people, and it's confirmed I'll have a career in California, but I will end up living in Switzerland. And I'm like, wow, because I had a lot of signs. These weren't places that were on my radar in the past, but they kept coming up on TikTok, like with synchronicity numbers everywhere, angel numbers and whatnot. And I'm thinking, there's significant to this, because California, of course, is Hollywood, but it's a huge spiritual community. And if you're going to be prominent in any of that direction, you probably will end up over there. But when I started seeing the Switzerland, I was like, that's a beautiful place. If I could pick somewhere, that looks like the sort of place I'd want to go. So later on, I had a challenge session with someone, and it was confirmed those are the goal. They are where I'll end up. There's been other prophecy which I don't like to delve too deep, but I will say what someone said. So the person who wrote the first edition of the book, she mentioned me as the scribe. She said, "You write everything structured in the way it needs to be written." I've had channeling sessions again with a very gifted medium, and that's been confirmed too. Within what she said as well, she said, "You have the wisdom, the innocence of a child, wisdom of the ancients." I thought that's nice. So in these channeling sessions, I've had Archangel Michael. I've had all sorts of things. It's absolutely beautiful. So for instance, it's hard, like I said, it's going to be really hard to remember everything, and I'm going to go backwards and forwards. Back in July 2023, so it's only last year, 6 months ago or so. Spirit Whispers 1111, who's on TikTok. I'd left TikTok for the year. I wasn't on TikTok at that point. We still had private emails. We didn't message all the time. We have that, it's a space between us. But before she did a wonderful spread for me, which I put in the book. But she had a couple of visions of me. She saw a lighthouse, a massive bright lighthouse, and people were going towards it. like it's a beacon for them. She said, as she got closer, I was the light. She saw me. It was me. I'm getting goosebumps now. So like I'm a light for people. I'm guiding them. Then she had a vision of me on stage speaking to an audience. And I thought, whoa, that's pretty cool. Didn't think about public speaking or things. That wasn't really on my radar. I'm writing my books. For me, that was like the most significant thing. Then again, bear in mind all the other synchronicities I've had and everything else that's crazy. I had a public speaking coach add me, followed me, so now we're mutual, on LinkedIn. Again, I didn't approach this person. I did a little research, checked her out. I bought her book. I haven't read it yet. She's based in New York, and she deals with theatre, but she also helps celebrities with public speaking. She's mentioned, I think, Joaquin Phoenix, Kate Winslet. I thought that's really cool. Even if me and her don't actually connect or work together or anything like that, it's the fact that someone's come across me who has connections like that. I thought that was quite cool. Little old me just wandering around, But it was the synchronicity of it that was actually wild. I'm getting told of this, and then boom, she turns up. So when I left my job in September 2023. I already had ideas because obviously I've been told certain things. I'm seeing signs of everything else, but I have an innate feeling in myself, which I follow to the T. Even if I had signs around me, I'm still going to follow what I feel inside of me, regardless of if there's someone else that's gifted and they have a different opinion, because often I'm the one that's right, especially when it comes to me. I am, and they've confirmed it as well. I surprised you had that much intuition because I thought you should have been doing this, but yeah, it's been confirmed you were doing it right. So, only I can guide me. Because at the end of the day, when we get signs and synchronicities, they're unique to us. People only see what we show them. If I share the synchronicities, which I sometimes do on social media like TikTok, I only show some of them. I'm not going to show every single one, and people get bored. But the amount of them that I get and the confirmations I get every day, it's like I don't need to validate to someone either. So I often say this as well. It's not for me to prove something to someone. It's up to me to just open the door for them to understand it, and it's them to bring. It's up to them then to receive the signs, not me to give it to them. I can't do something for someone else, because you have to be at the right vibration to receive certain things. Our angels and guides, they'll try their best, but it's up to us to recognize it, And if you dismiss it or you're skeptical all the time, they don't try so hard because it's just a waste of their energy. So until you're ready for the connection, you're not going to receive it. And that's just the way that is. I can't speed it up for someone. All I can do is explain to them what I'm experiencing, and then they can try and do similar. So I left that job, and a month later, I met Zach, who is an absolute gifted medium, psychic medium. He does tarot readings. He can do energy cleansing. He can do things I've never even knew existed. Again, this is just a culmination of all the gifts I'm seeing in other people throughout the journey. And now I meet this guy. It's like, wow, this is all new stuff to me. It just shows there's levels to this. You just keep uncovering. So we've had deep messages, deep channeling sessions. We've had sessions where where he's teaching me tarot a bit deeper. We've had sessions where we're connecting to my spirit guides, his spirit guides, angels, archangels, because Archangel Michael was there. We've had all sorts of things like this. It's actually insane. They've told me of my prophecy, what I need to be working on, what I need to be doing. My soulmate, who I actually, connection, I had to push that one. The situation with my daughter. There's been so much said, it's actually unreal. And so during that session, we asked, because I said, was I supposed, did Spirit push me out of that job? Because I feel they did, or was I just reckless in leaving? And they said, no, you needed to get out of there. It wasn't serving you any good. Effectively, it was a toxic environment. And it was just lowering my vibration. So it's a bit like that relationship they had to split up. Doesn't matter if you want it, it's gone. It's no good to you. You're destined for so much more than this. So I get signs of wealth. I don't say it lightly, but that's just what the prophecy is. At the end of the day, people can try and imitate and whatnot, but the angels are guiding it. They'll put you where you need to be, and they'll open the door when they need to open the door. So effectively, if you need to meet someone on your journey, they'll make sure that opens. They'll nudge that person to look at you. They'll see your content. It'll get pushed in front. That's how synchronicities work. So whatever's supposed to happen will happen, and it will happen at the right time. But there is also an ability to push things forward. I'm a powerful manifestor, as we've kind of seen with the fact that I've got my house quickly, and everything else I keep just flooding. Even just last year, I was like, I want a car. I also want to start having holidays. And it was all these little things. All of them come true. I had my first holiday in 15 years abroad. I got my car. I kept upgrading my computer equipment and things. So I never went without until the end of the year when I had to leave the job, and then I was like humbled, big time. Um, and I think the thing with humbling us, it shows us who's there for us as well. These are valuable tools, because if you're going to have money in the future and you're going to go on a path that's maybe people don't understand, it's a challenge to yourself to stay in your authenticity, your integrity, but recognize who's there for you and who's not. So when you have, you don't just give it away. I kept getting signs of this. When you get your blessing, it's for you and it's not for you to just give it away. And I was like, well, in the past, I would have helped people without question. Now I'm seeing the value of the journey itself. So it's not selfish to not financially support someone all the time because they have to go on a similar journey that I went on. You wouldn't have the level of growth that I've got if someone just handed it to you. You'd miss all this. You'd miss it all. You'd miss all the education. So there is that. It's also about value. If someone hasn't helped you, why should you then go and save them? I don't believe in repeating cycles. I think that I am a chain breaker for the most part, but there are certain levels to this where, people will latch on. Effectively, if you've got something, people think they're entitled to it. And it's learning that boundary to say, no, this is mine. I worked hard for it. It might seem easy now, but the level of sacrifice I did to get to that level to make it easy, you was never courageous enough to try and do what I did. Because that's what it is. People see a talent at the end and they see it comes easy and life seems effortless. Well, look at the hard work that got there. Look at the sacrifices that got there. All the judgment and the ridicule, And yet I'm more stable now than I've ever been. And I can see through things. It's like what I said before about the content I'm creating. I share a lot about healing, the healing journey, overcoming trauma, a positive mindset, seeing like the issues with society where people are just focused solely on money to the point of their own to the despair of their own happiness. What's more important, money or happiness? You've got to weigh that up. Money buys you things, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy. You can be happy with less, and that's surely a better place to be. Not to say you'll forgo money altogether, but there's got to be priorities, So I'm doing that, trying to help people because I don't want to force a spiritual journey on people. But then when you have that logic, and then you add the spiritual journey, it just makes an incredibly powerful experience. That's what I'm living, and that's what I'm trying to show people. Because if I only show them one side, it's negating the other side. So, like, if I only show them a spiritual journey, then not the healing journey, they might think everything just comes easy. You haven't got to do this, you haven't got to do that. I met someone on my journey, kept plastering my videos with comments saying that's not true spiritual journey because it's only love and light, and you're making it. It's like, no, it's not. You have to go and face your shadow self. You have to go through a lot of healing and trauma. You have to keep shedding the layers. Effectively, you'll still go through these situations, but you'll transition through them quicker. If any, like people that watch my TikTok videos will know, I have these moments when I'm at my knees, even now. But I don't stay there. It's for like a day, half a day, a few hours. In the past, it would have been a week. You know what I mean? It's like now the transition's quick. No one's perfect. We're still going to have our low moments where we feel sorry for ourselves, where life's unfair. Just because you know something's coming doesn't make today any easier. If we look at my circumstance at the minute, I haven't got my daughter. I haven't got the romance. I'm struggling like crazy with money. The career hasn't picked up as I like. I create a lot of content that goes unnoticed. Now, that's frustrating as hell. It doesn't stop me because I know it's not even a prophecy. I'm just doing what innately feels right to me. I said I'm following that calling. I'm aware one video can go viral. I don't know what video that'll be. Could be an old video. And that's the point. That's why I don't bog down too much with statistics. But at any moment, my daughter can come home. Any moment, my soulmate has an epiphany and we unite. Boom, got my family. Money can always pick up any opportunity, a job opportunity comes, a collaboration. So then that forms in towards career. And the views on my content can always spike at any moment. So yeah, it's down and out, it's despair, it's every reason not to wake up. I still have, like I said, still have my low moments, but I'm also aware how much my life can change, and it can all change in an instant like that. So where someone may ridicule when you struggle, they'll be the first to suck up when you're doing well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's so much to get through, though. I just couldn't possibly cover every little thing. You know, I've spoke to people that are not spiritual, who don't believe in any of it. Um, and each their own, you know. I don't force it. I'm like, however you see life, man. If as long as you're living your best life for your best self at a given moment, then you can't do any more than that anyway. Um, I've met people where I've opened their eyes because I saw one guy. He's Polish, and he said he used to bully people when he was younger, but he's a lot better now. He's a nice guy now, but he still doesn't really know what he's doing. You know, he's like he feels a little slightly lost, just getting on with it. And I gave him a chat, and I just said to him, I said, look, well, I said, trouble is you're expecting some grand opening, if you like. You're expecting some grand finale, you know, something like that's most people are. But the whole point of our experience of being here on Earth is to evolve. So when we leave, we're a better version of ourselves than when we got here. So we learned something along the way. I said, that's literally what we're here for. Sorry, my nose just keeps itching like crazy. Doesn't normally do that. That's getting irritating. But he said, wow, that's just changed his whole perspective. Because it's the little upgrades we do are the evolution. Effectively, we come here for so many lifetimes. That's the thing. It's such a breeze. Like even if you live 80 years in spirit, that's not long at all. It's like a flash in the pan. But some people make it sound like life's so long. No, life's too short. Life's far too short. It's like you've got a limited time to do things. It's like I saw a video the other day and it was absolutely perfect. It's, you know, it's how I see life anyway, but it's like, it was a great way of putting it. You're a soul having a human experience. Most people think they're a human with this, you know, and their soul's all over there. No, you're your soul having a human experience. So when you can get back to that, and remember, the souls are love and light. We are pure in soul form, back in spirit. We are all love. You know, so we've come down here in a very heavy, negative, toxic environment or world that's incredibly horrible. And we're all trying to navigate our way through it. And most people just get overwhelmed and they get influenced. So their natural state, their natural soul just gets manipulated and twisted and they lose sight of who they are. They forget about who they are. They get wayward and tempted by everything else. But our soul at its core is love. So like the thing is, I don't know if our souls get embarrassed, but I'm sure at the other end, there's a lot of regret. Because in the afterlife, I've seen a few content on this and I've asked a couple of mediums on it as well. It's through that through that, the amount of people I've heard it from, it seems as though you go towards a light when you leave this earth. You have a certain time, otherwise you will get stuck here. Most 99% of people make it just go. It's those like maybe a child that lost their parent in a car crash and they're still waiting around for their parent. That's happened. I think I've heard of that happening. So the child's waiting for their parent, but the parent already went. You know, little things. It's like, yeah, it's that attachment to something that keeps us here, confused. But a medium can open the channel and help them through. So effectively, when we go back to the other side, so we transition over, we'll meet a loved one we recognize. You'll instinctively know that's who that is, even if they don't take that form. Because I'm told that you go and it'll be more like a particles. You know, it's not our human vessel form. But it's like it's love and it's this knowing when you get there. I'm getting goosebumps. Then a more higher up spirit will come to meet you, or an angel, and they'll take you for your life review. So you get to see all the love, all the positive intention, everything you put out. You get to experience that. So you witness it, but you feel it. That's the biggest part, is that you feel it. We also then get shown the negatives, the hurt we caused, and you'll feel that too. And that'll be punishing, that'll be crushing. I saw this video, this guy saying, just stop. They told him to stop. He gets it. At that point, they stopped because, you know, our angels are not trying to make us suffer. They're just trying to make us learn and understand. So when you have that understanding of life, it stands to reason it's a bit stupid to behave in this lifetime now in a way that we're going to regret after. You know, we've got to learn from things. It's like there's no need to behave like that. You're only going to go on the other side. And it's not even the fact that you'll be embarrassed or you might feel shamed. You might feel sad that you treated people like that. It's more, the way I see it is, we're here to evolve our souls. We're here to evolution. Some people see their lifetime as long. Like I said, I see it as short. So if it feels long and heavy, make the most of it now, because otherwise you're going to have to keep coming back time and time again. If you're not going to learn your lessons, you're going to have to keep coming back, because we've got to keep ascending. So with that understanding, all of us are at different levels. Our souls are different as well. That's why some people say like a wise head on young shoulders and things like that. And some people seem wise beyond their years. It's because their soul is their soul is a far advanced soul to those that they are born into. So you can have a grandparent who is a young soul, because that's only a human appearance, isn't it? It's only the generations in human form. So what I've been told from me personally in my life is I'm a highly advanced spirit, like a soul. This could be my last lifetime on Earth. I actually asked this during a challenge session, and they said potentially it'd be my choice. So that means I'm at the end of a soul journey. Maybe but you're always learning, So on the other side, maybe I don't know what it would be, but you could then, I'm assuming, become trained to be a spirit guide. Trained to be a guardian angel later. I think there's evolutions and there's levels up. But you have to go through these experiences first to evolve your soul. I get a lot of signs about this, that I'm the chain breaker in the generational chain breaker. I'm the one that's going to bring generational wealth to my bloodline. Broke the karma. That's what I came here for. And I said to my mum recently, I said, actually thinking about it, I said, I'm the youngest in the family, out of her kids. And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, that's weird. If I've been sent for this and I'm the last one. Bit crazy. But yeah, I think if you're going to say someone's a fighter, I was born premature with tubes coming out of me. So like the fact that I survived that in itself, I think is quite remarkable. They often say those that have gone through trauma usually got a purpose. So like I haven't seen my dad since I was about 4 years old. So that, and the trauma with my daughter doesn't help any further either. But yeah, like I say, there's a lot prophesized for my future. I've been through a lot already. These next few months are supposedly big. I think the whole year in itself is going to be big. There's a big spiritual journey I'm on. There's a big developments. I've kind of took my mind off it slightly, because again, I can't be everywhere at once. I can't have my head down thinking this and then doing this and doing this and doing this. So I'm always like where I need to be at a given moment. So back in October with Zach, there's the medium. He is further along. He's like 10 years on his journey. I'm maybe 3 or 4. It was confirmed that me and him have very similar gifts and very similar path. Of course, he's been on his journey longer, but I've been through my trauma. I can only do so much. So it seemed to me that Spirit was just intent on me being ascended quick. Everything seems to be happening to me like that anyway. The people they guide me to. But my obsession with romance was derailed things a little bit. They did warn me, because I was getting, no one wants to be single forever. I've been single a long time, and I'm like, I just want my soulmate now. And during this session, before I even got to that, they said, what do you want? What do you want from this life? And I was like, well, that's a weird question. I don't know. I ain't got no questions, really. I don't know. And they said, well, come on. He's always got questions. Tell him to ask. And they asked me that question as well, though. What do you want from this life? What are you expecting? And I said, well, if I can streamline everything, maybe by the time I'm 50, I can then just like settle and just chill and just enjoy life, like just enjoy it. And they laughed, because they said, no. That's not what you're here for. You don't get to rest. You don't get to stop. Again, if we're going to align that to this is your last lifetime, you're an advanced soul, you're going to do a huge thing on this planet. Makes sense that I can't sit still. And in all honesty, they won't. It's like, even if I want to, I still get a nudge. I'll jump up, get the camera. I'll jump up and do this, because I know I need to be doing it. And it's something in me that keeps pushing me, and it's probably them. But I have arguments with them too, because I always say things are unfair. This isn't right. So what they didn't want me doing was obsessing over a love and romance, because that was going to happen later. They don't want that for me right now. They want me to focus on my spiritual development. But because I pushed it, they did say there'd be consequences. They said, you can push things forward, but there are consequences. They wouldn't say what that consequence was. Literally the next day or so, I got a tower card, which is in tarot is like abrupt change. And it was at that point me and Zach split it up on our own different directions because also, to be honest, I think my obsession with love was like holding him back. He's high vibrational, and they were trying to make me match him because that's what it is. You can't be around people at a different vibration. You can learn from them and you can grow and you can try to sort of get there. But if you're going to be too slow, it's not. You're just clashing, and we started clashing. So he's high vibrational at this moment, which I can appreciate. You know, we're not in competition. I knew that because it was my decision to pursue the love. Didn't push love any closer, was it? Um, so yeah, it's all learning episodes. You know, I've learned that when something's supposed to happen, I need to sort of take it serious as well. But there was things I was teaching here, Zach. You know, he's not very good at manifesting. He has situations where he worries too much. Like when I worry, I go, what's my nose, man? When I worry, I get worried too. But in the back of my mind, I always know the end goal. I always know the life I'm going to have. I always know everything's going to work out, everything's going to come together. So even when in a low moment, I'm still pulling that towards me because that's always there in my mind. That's my goal. I don't let the goal fade. And he does. So setback after setback, lose momentum. There's also a side of them that's a bit jealous, but whether they admit it or not, they'll watch other content creators and constantly criticize them. These are content creators that sometimes I'd look at and think, I don't really have a problem with them. I don't know. It's like some people want to be where someone else is, even if they don't mean for it to be spiteful. It's still a judgment of other people that you've got to work on because that's not healthy. My nose, man. I have to look that up later, what the nose thing is, because that's getting insane. But again, I don't want to put shade on people. It's more that we all have shadow aspects to work on, you know. I have a lack of patience a lot of the time. That's something I know I need to work on because I'm a go-getter. I'll keep pushing through, push. But sometimes there's a moment when you do need a pause, need to have a bit more patience and relax and go with the flow even that bit more. So like I said, there's always levels to this, you know. It's not always a case of like there's one size fits all. And the one thing I would say to anyone on a spiritual journey is go at your own pace. That's really important. People will pull you left, right, and center. You'll have mentors you look up to, but it's important that you do it your way too. I had someone, Zach again, he didn't like the way I was shuffling the cards, my tarot cards, the spreads I was doing that I like doing, because people want to mold you into them. And I'm like, I ain't you. I don't want to be you. It works for me. I like what I do. So we asked Spirit. We went, you know, we're saying, well, go and ask him then. Well, ask them, am I doing it okay? And they said, yeah. You know, is that accurate? Yeah. And it's like, well, then stop bothering me about it then, because that's my way of doing it. I'll do it my way. You do you. They prefer just to pull maybe 3 cards and then use their intuition and channel. Trouble with me with channeling is my mind's always busy and I've always got a million projects going on. So I very rarely sit still and have that moment where I can channel. So mine is all intuition and based on what I need to do at a given moment. And I'll use the tarot cards really just to help that along, you know. But because I like to have all the information, I have no patience, which I've just said. I will do spreads, like big spreads. I'll ask the question. Let's say I say career. I'll ask the question and the cards will come out and I'll look at it and I'll get a general understanding of that. And I'm like, well, I still want to get a bit clearer with this. So I'll start getting oracle decks that have different types of cards. It will show whether there's like a relation to love, whether it's home life, whether it's like a huge wealth, whether it's that you start to form a pattern. The more cards around each card, because you just ask to clarify. So if you ask for one card, can I have a clarification? What's to clarify that card? Clarify that card, clarify, and then you get another deck and you go, right, clarify that set, that one. And the spread just gets bigger, but each card has its own little story, you know? And you can sort of see the pattern, where I am now, where I'm going, how hard it's going to get, where I'm going to get to the end. And most things are like that, you know, where you'll have a trouble in the middle. Often there is. No one wants to see it. No one wants to admit it. No one wants to acknowledge that there's going to be a hard moment, but there's going to be hard moments. There's going to be moments that challenge your faith. They're going to challenge your like fortitude to keep pushing forward. But the end goal is worth the mountain, you know, but you have to climb the mountain. And that's what it shows, the hardship. I never expected my journey to be easy. And I never feel too bad, to be honest, when things don't work out in terms of like, if I've got a collaboration, for instance, and people walk away, it's like, okay, you can walk. I'm not attached to it like that. Where some people I think they lean on people too much, whereas I lean on me. So even if I can look up to someone and say, look, I can tell you're gifted, you're incredible, you're great at what you do, and how fortunate am I to have you? But as soon as they want to leave or they take exception to saying, so that's up to you because I'm still strong on my own. You know, I can still just I've got this far on my own. So don't allow people to have the weight of them on you. You know, because like I say, you meet people on a spiritual journey. Some people are super spiritual. where they just everything about their life is the spiritual journey, which I find a bit. I think it's counterproductive because if the way I see life is it's a balance. We're supposed to be working through it, embrace the human experience, which means live that human experience. If you go overly spiritual, from my point of view, is you're becoming oneness with your soul, but then you might as well just be back in the spiritual realm. You may as well not be here. If you're going to connect 100% to your soul in relation to that, and you're going to forego the human experience, you may as well not be here. You become one with yourself, but completely alienated to the human experience. What's the benefit of that? So I am focused on building it all together. Have the human experience, learn the spirituality, the guidance I'm receiving, the connectedness, become one with myself, but continue to mold that into the human experience. I'm also intent on helping people complete the cycle themselves. So as I go on my journey, I document it for others to be able to see that too. So they can see what I prophesize. That's important. I say what I see for the future. Then when it comes, I can say, this is what happened. And then I can say the steps I took that actually got me to achieve that goal. And that's how I do it. So I'm helping people, hopefully, along the way. I'm disclosing how I live my life. I'm disclosing the signs I receive. Like I said at the beginning, I can't possibly remember every little thing right now. I'll remember it in stages. So I'll look back at 2019, for instance, and I'll probably remember certain things that happened in that time of the year. And I go, oh, yeah. And then, I forgot that person in my life, or they said this, or this happened. There's just too many meetings of minds, too many people I bump into, too many people that leave. I talk about that a lot, about disappointments in people. I'm very strong and I'm very rigid. I can be quite outspoken, so I can grate on people sometimes. But it seems to be most people are flaky. I have to get used to that. I'm pretty sure my journey for the most part is going to be bump into people, move on, bump into people, move on. That's not a negative. That's just constant evolution. And some of us are not here to sort of like magnetize specifically to people for long periods, because your journey needs you to keep pushing forward, keep experiencing new things, keep sharing, meet new people, affect more lives. What I did bring with me here is a few books before I wrap up. There's a book here by Kyle Gray. He has like oracle decks. Where are we going? And it's about angel numbers. That'll help when you receive numbers. It will help understand what each number means, the combinations. It just helps with that. So if you're struggling to understand what does this number mean, you'll see the numbers and you can correlate what they actually mean. You can also Google them. But the good thing about synchronicities and angel numbers is not always about the number itself. You can have angel numbers, but I look at the content it's surrounding around. What was I thinking at the time? Where was I? What content am I watching? So, for instance, let's say I'm getting an angel number 111, which you could say is new beginnings and new connections, something happening. But you could see this. But that video is on a video that says California, and you've had 4 other videos recently that said California. For me, that is confirming California is significant to your journey. There's a significance of California. See, that's what I'm saying. So some people don't pick up on the nuances. They focus so heavily on one thing without seeing what they're supposed to see. Again, I've met psychic mediums who at one stage are more gifted than me, but they have less understanding of their journey than I do. The reason being is the synchronicities for me have come true. And because things have come true, I get to then understand how the picture unfolds for me. So I understand what these signs are because it happens all the time, and then they come true. If someone receives signs, doesn't understand them, they didn't really remember them or it didn't have significance, then when something happens, they don't realize there's a correlation between the sign they had. And because I understand it, I can see it. Again, we asked this through spirit, and they said, "Yeah, I'm right." They are pushing all this to me. So, if you're right, you're right. Now, David Wolfer, I was told about protection on a spiritual journey. Even if you're not spiritual, we have to be doing this because there's a dark realm and a light realm. The angels in the light, then you've got the negative entities, the demonic entities, the malevolent ones. That's real. Most of us try to ignore it. Ignorance isn't bliss. You can't just forgo it. So some people that are having psychotic episodes, some people that are just completely negative, even if you're just having a mood swing, all these things, you might get ill a lot. You can't. you may have an energetic attack, an attachment on you. I've had things on me that I didn't know. Through Zach, he did an energetic cleansing on me. He found things attached to me. He found a spear in my back, an energetic spear. That's the betrayal people had done to me. I had a baby in my throat, which needed to be put back in my heart. For me, that was my inner child. See, I'm understanding what these signify. I also had a demon shadow in me, and that was quite worrying because you don't realize that's happening. You know, especially me. I think everyone's told me before you're protected, so you're thinking, "Oh, I'm protected." Turns out Archangel Michael allowed it to happen. So Zach asked Archangel Michael, like, why did you allow that to happen? They said to teach him a lesson. It was always left under control. So the angels kept giving me the energy to keep pushing forward, even though this thing was weighing on me. Again, I'm getting goosebumps, chills. But he was doing it as a way to teach me a lesson. So effectively, I think if you're on a deep spiritual journey, you definitely need to take it serious, especially if you're teaching people. But that happens to anybody, you know, and people just don't know they've got the attachments. You just need a gifted people to see it, person to see it. Now, David Walther, he is like the let's just say the king on this. For me, he's like the Ghostbuster without the proton pack. He can see these and he can banish them. He can send them back with the help, with the assistance of his guides. He's incredibly powerful and gifted. So I had a family member who had an attachment to them. Part of my journey apparently was to, like, me and Zach, for instance, he was going to teach me certain things, and then I would have been at a higher vibration. I can deal with this and see all these things too. But like I said, I derailed that. So the plan was, apparently, in February this year, which we are now, I was to remove this attachment from that person, and that will empower me. Now, in terms of my gifts, I've had setback. And it turns out, because David had done a check, he recognized this was no low level anything. This was a huge demon standing over this person. And upon closer inspection, there was so many attachments to him. And he said, that's not something you should be dealing with, and that's not something that should be left alone. And I was like, well, that's what I've been told. So he channeled through, and he said to me, he said, I can look into it for you, or you can just leave it. And I said, well, if you think it needs doing, I say you do it. He said, because it's a minor, he would have to get permission from the angels because they can't give consent. Well, no, but I think it was I can give consent because I'm the older, but they need the angels to consent him doing the work because you need authority. You can't just do things like that without the consent of the angels. Ultimately, they gave permission for him to do it, and he cleansed it. He dealt with it all. That was an intense experience. He gave me a rundown of everything he had done. And again, these are levels, man. I've had the manifestations, I've had the synchronicities, I've had the guidance, I've had everything flowing to me with relative ease at times. I've had hardships that I know are lessons. I transform beyond them. Other things happen. I start elevating, better opportunities. You align with higher quality people. It's just the way it is. You start leaning more towards success because you'll keep climbing towards that success. But then you also learn new things. And David and Zach opened me up to a world that I didn't even know what existed. It's truly terrifying in some ways, but we still need to learn it. It exists. So that's his book. Like I said, I've got my book, Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul. This is like spiritual awakening. So if you start on a spiritual journey, this is going to be like a handbook for you. It feel like you're not alone because starting this is very, very hard. It's easy to go back to pretending it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Let's just pretend it's not real and everyone's crazy that believes it. You can, but it's not going to help you, is it? But my book will. And then you got like tarot cards and you get tarot cards and you get oracle cards, and that's all pretty cool. But again, you need to make sure you're protected and grounded before you do the readings. And I'd say practice on yourself before you do it for other people, because you're connecting to energy. Connect to your own energy is fine, isn't it? But if you're going to connect to other people's energy, you need to be making sure you learn, and you're going to learn that through the books. Like I said, I could talk forever on this, but it's like knowing what I've missed out, where I'm heading. There'll be more in the future as I uncover more. I'm just trying to think, really. I could recite things from the book, but people might as well read the book. But like I say, there's people on my journey who have had a profound impact. I've listed them as special thanks at the back of my book. But within the tarot section specifically, there are some incredible insights in there. People have said some remarkable things about me in that. And that was back in 2020, I think it was. So if we just go through some of the chapters I've got going on here, we've got manifestation, intuition, synchronicity, God, faith, tarot, ascension, psychics, mediums, karma, karmic fame, soulmates, twin flame, universe, a new dawn, even the meaning of life. So I cover a lot. But if we can find the tarot, it was actually a little bit on grounding and protection, but for the most part, you want to read David's books. It's just the tarot section I really wanted. I don't know where it is on this book. Soulmates, twin flames, clairvoyance, because that's all in the psychic section. I'll tell you something I will read. This is numerology, because everything is intertwined. It's crazy. Once you go on this journey, your eyes are going crazy. So I noticed when Prince Philip in the UK, Prince Philip, when he died, the numbers surrounding his death was insane. Like, you couldn't even comprehend the numbers. So a number sequence I noticed was the death of Prince Philip. He died 9th of April 2021 at the age of 99. So you've got the day as the 9. His age is 99, so that's 999. His year was 2021, so that's 2 plus 2 plus 1. Plus the month, so that was 5. Plus the month of 4, which is April, is 9. So Prince Philip's death within numerology is 9999. How mad is that? I put that in the books. I recognized it immediately. I was like, wait a minute, this is strange. Once you do that, you can't help it. If there's a chapter on recognizing your life path, because we all have a life path number. I'm a life path number 11. That's a master life path, but every life path has a meaning. Ascension. This is it. Tarot. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I read it often. So Spirit Whispers said this. Listen to your own voice around readings. You are deeply connected, so trust your thoughts. Keep your tarot cards by you at night so you dream and get visions around them. Or just grab one and sleep with it under your pillow. Sound crazy? Trust me, it works. Look at the cards and study them. Look for water, the way things bend and twist, colours, symbols, clouds, sun, etc. Trust me, you can stare at a card for a long time. Since I know you are deeply spiritual and you're going through a spiritual awakening, I'll dive right in. Numbers are huge with me. I feel that is how communication comes through in the strongest ways. The first thing about your reading were the numbers. We will get into the meanings in a minute, just bear with me. I view spiritual awakening like a clock. 1 o'clock. One's is shouting, wake up, new beginnings, a soulmate connection is coming in. 2 o'clock, twos. Your guides or a loved one that has crossed over is with you. This is indicating you start to see things. You're beginning the next step of your journey. Your old self is losing its grip on reality. 3 o'clock, threes. Trying to turn back. Things start to feel uncomfortable. This part involves taking the handbrake off instead of resisting. This is where many people go back and hang out at 1 and 2 o'clock. 4 o'clock, fours. You truly start to go within yourself. You'll possibly meet a spiritual mentor. You'll be diving in, searching for answers around spirituality. Things get confusing and frustrating. It gets harder and you'll want to step away and go back up to the safer numbers, your comfort zone. But you see, you can't because it doesn't feel right anymore. Your deep thirst for knowing in 4. 5 o'clock, fives. This indicates change will be occurring. Your ego tries to run in and stop you from going forward with fear. You're really starting to cross the threshold at 5. 6 o'clock, sixes. 5 and 6 are the hardest with spiritual awakening. 6 is where you face your shadow self. Everything in your life is being tested, your family and friends. Oh, that's a frustration. What's real, what doesn't serve you? It can be dark and extremely depressing. You're at the hardest place of a spiritual awakening. Most never make it to 6. This is where you get past what you've been conditioned to believe. Your world flips upside down and shakes away all of the labels, conditioning, etc. You see the truth. Everything past 6 o'clock, well, it's golden. You've reached enlightenment, per se. But you're still learning and moving forward. Hopefully this is making sense. So let's talk about your reading. You have all the numbers up to 6, then you have 12. With your reading, you have got 6, and then 12, meaning you are directly at 6 o'clock. It's hard and heavy. The 5 of Pentacles shows you feeling confused, going within, feeling misunderstood and alone. You've moved past this, but you still feel that way at times. The 2 of Pentacles, on a light note, shows you multitasking. You may have many things you are juggling right now, specifically 2 that are important. You're on a new journey with your life. I'm really seeing that book you're writing being part of this new journey. It's all good, so don't worry. On a spiritual level, your guides are with you. You have different guides that come in and out, and a few that are with you your entire journey. You've got a lot around you right now. The 12th of your hangman can also be 3, 1 plus 2, although you've moved past 3, so I'm leaving that number alone. You took the handbrake off, and you're true to you. The 4 of Pentacle, on a light note, indicates you are good with money, but you may have to spend a little on investment or business opportunity. Diving in deeper, this card shows insecurities. You've been hurt, my friend. He has left some wounds. I know you went through hell regarding your daughter. I won't press here, but you can see so much pain with this card. And the 5 of Pentacles. I'm sorry you've been through and are still going through this. This situation is part of your transformation. It's what has changed you the most. Your reading shows it is part of your purpose and journey through your transformation. I'm getting huge goosebumps right now. The 6 of Cups on a light note indicates you being in the karmic flow of giving and receiving. You are a beautiful soul, and this is where you light up when I see you around this card. You have a big purpose here, Stephen. You'll help people in more ways than you know. I'll get a little bit emotional there, and to be honest, when I've read this in the past, I've broke down, but I'm stronger now. Just that line there, you'll help people in more ways than you know. This card also alludes to the fact that an ex could be making an appearance in your life. They may want to reconcile. This shows conflict will be forgiven. I have strong feelings this person wants to get back together with you. Here's the deepest part of your reading. You're at 6 o'clock. The reversed hangman on a light note shows that there are a lot of demands on you right now. You may feel tied up and restricted. You don't feel completely free, and you have multiple obligations right now. On a deep level, this is your last situation to get through before you move past 6 o'clock. It shows a lesson, and if it's not learned, it will return to you again and again. Each time it returns, it will be even more challenging. It indicates something is lingering that you have not moved past. I'm sure this is around your current situation with your ex and your daughter. Something that's keeping you stuck at 6. Something needs to be released into a there, I see you moving and being the other numbers, 7, 8, and 9, etc. But you've not broken free yet. You will, though. When I looked up at your reading, instantly I knew how deep it was, so I had to explain it the best way possible. You know things. You are connected and your intuition is spot on. I also see you, like I said before, your eyes look sad. Sometimes you look so tired it breaks my heart. I'm always cheering for you because I know you have something big you came here to do. And you're just starting to open that door. It makes me excited when I think about it. You deserve every bit of what unfolds for you. Make sure you don't push yourself too hard right now. Be kind to yourself and get some rest. If this doesn't resonate, toss it. Every tarot reader has a different take on things. Wishing you the best, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible experience. And I've had plenty of people come to me with similar things, you know. It's deeply personal and it's absolutely incredible. I had someone message me a few months ago. They said they had a dream and they saw me there, and I was so happy. She said you were so happy, and you had this like golden shield around you, or something like that. You had something golden around you, and it's like that's nice. Can't remember them all now, but I've had a few tell me of like seeing me on stage talking and things coming really, but things don't really get to my head. You know, I mean, I say all these things because that's what I know. I don't say it to gloat, to say I am this supreme being. You know, it's like I'm experiencing life just like everyone else. I just seem to be quite resilient, and I seem to be getting pushed along quite quick. So that's how I'm experiencing it, if you like. But I don't lord over people. I don't sort of like push people down to elevate myself. I'm trying to bring people with me. But like I say, we're all at different vibrations. So even if someone looked up to me and they wanted to cling to me, you can only cling so long as to like your energy can handle it, because it's just like I said with Zach. Me and him were on a similar path, and he's had to go on his journey while I go on mine. We both have different qualities, and effectively, it doesn't always work out. So you have to be willing to do your own journey too. You know, you can't just like latch onto someone and hope they do it for you, because that's not how it works. So we have to acknowledge the signs. We have to embrace the journey, and more than anything, at some point, we have to have faith in ourselves. And then allow that connection to come to us rather than sort of having to sort of feel that connection from someone else. It's all a learning tool. No one expects someone to be a master when they're at the beginning stage. So there's no point, like, it's often said about me, I'm often trying to run before I can walk, and spirit often saying that. They're always trying to slow me down, because they know I've got no patience. They know I've got no patience, so I'm a go-getter. So because I'm a powerful manifestor, I move timelines faster than I should, and then they're trying to make me catch up. Really, they did say that you've missed some steps, so we're trying to. We can't stop what's coming to you now, but we need you to be ready. So like I say, I'm always excited. I've been through an awful lot, and I get signs of this as well, that people underestimate you because they judge you without realizing what you've been through. Because I make it look easy, they think my life's been easy. It's not. You can see through my books anyway what I've been through. But yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to help people really. So if anyone's got this far, I'll be surprised, because I looked up at the clock earlier and this is getting close to an hour now. But I did say at the beginning of the video it's going to be long, because you've got a whole spiritual journey to encompass here, and I've probably still missed important parts out because I can only do so much, Yeah, but like I say, the experiences are for me, and it's for me to share the experiences to help people, but at the same time, it's for people to then go on and have those experiences themselves. It's not for me to sort of like provide every experience I have. If people look at me, I have confidence in my journey. So even if someone didn't believe in any of it, it's like, I don't really care. Someone's disbelief is not going to make me not believe, because I've experienced it. I haven't got this far by not believing. Effectively, this is what I said in one of my books. Half of my life was like a living hell. It was harder than it had to be. And that's when I didn't believe. But ever since I started my spiritual journey, and I've embraced the journey, I've embraced like everything that's coming to me rather than fight against it. Everything's flowing far faster. And I'm a better version of myself. I'm far more confident. And I'm achieving an awful lot more faster. So what way works better? So if someone wants to question it, or someone just tries to mock, or someone tries to like bring you down, it's like, you can't win that battle with me, because I've achieved too much. There's no way I'm going backwards. I didn't get this far just to start like questioning my own sanity. I think the proof's in the pudding. Look at what I can do. I can do books in like 3 months. That's not normal. Surely that's not normal, to be able to write a book so fast and multiple times. Even that on itself is just crazy. The experiences I've had are out of this world. That's surreal. The people that just keep popping into my life out of nowhere, even though I know they're coming. Kristen, who I co-authored the first edition of the book, like I said before, we all get different signs. Like she said, she always has to live by the seat of her pants. She gets no signs in advance, because we're all on a unique journey. My journey is they tell me ahead of time, so I can sort of foresee the future. And I think they do that because my journey's, like I said, I think I'm on a rapid ascension. If you're not on a rapid ascension, your journey's going to be slower. So you're going to learn at a slower pace, but it's going to be heavy at times. But me, I just seem to keep getting strong mentors that can just keep throwing me forward. It's like I said, I've just come across David Wolfer, who can deal with the dark. Most people don't know he exists. I learned a lot from him. So these people just keep coming every now and again. It's quite rapid. But anyway, throat started to hurt now. I've been talking for like the best part of nearly over an hour. My coffee's now cold. Nearly an hour and 15 minutes. That's nice. It's long, but to be honest, I didn't want to make a million videos. I didn't want it to be like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Sick of that. I really am. I just wanted one video where I can just share my journey up to now, and then in a year, 2 years, however long, I can draw upon a new video and really go on this. There might be videos after where I sort of go on about specific topics, because I've done it before on TikTok, and it's kind of like just seeing what I've already said, what hasn't been said, and whether I want new production on it, because to be honest, the format is portrait rather than landscape, which I don't really like, to be honest. But hopefully this has been informative to someone, and even if it's just helped one person, then I think it's worth it.